Hello and welcome to Illini Drive on WPGU 107.1, still in Urbana Public Television studio because of the water damage that happened. Seems like so long ago now. But we're still here. We're still trying to provide you guys with some of the most accurate and best takes in Illinois basketball, Illinois football, and all around the country in every sport that we cover. But we'll jump straight into it. Illinois basketball loses an ugly one to Miami to kick off the Big Ten ACC Challenge. They drop the game 81-79. Miami can't miss a shot pretty much the whole game. They shoot 50% from the field and I'm reading that wrong. They shoot 59% from the field, 55% from beyond the arc. Illinois eventually gets those numbers up a little bit, but it's too little, too late. Their large run at the end of the game just comes up short because it's hard to come back from when you're 27 down in the first half. Just real quickly, your guys' takeaways from today's game. Or not today's game, Monday's game. I'm a little bit all over the place right now.
Chris Likes. I don't know whether it was people like calling him an elf or a midget or whatever Orange Crush was yelling at him. He played with a vengeance, especially when Illinois was coming back and, they were kind of mounting that run and you were like, oh man, like there's a little bit of time left, like if everything goes right. Mm-hmm. And then he checks back in the game even though he has 4 fouls and he hits 2 daggers. Yeah, he did. But he hits 2 daggers, a deep 2 and a 3. And then he hits the 2 free throws to seal it kind of after he draws an offensive foul from Io. But it was nice to see them come back, but they should have never, ever in this game been down 27. Miami will probably never shoot as well as they did in this game like the rest of the season. But even then, you have to find a way to stop them. You can't go down 27 to an unranked opponent at home in front of everybody because it's the ACC Big Ten Challenge.
Yeah, I mean, watching that game, actually, it was kind of funny. When I first saw Chris Likes go onto the court, like I sat down on the court kind of late, and I look at him, and I'm like, man, he's kind of short. I was just like, I hope he's not one of those guys that's real short, but like he's just like really good.
But it's cold.
I'm just like, I'm thinking about him, like, okay, he's on an ACC team, and he's a starting point guard. I was like, okay, let's just see what happens. Sure enough, he balls out. But, I mean, I was talking with Alec, who's obviously the host of the Thursday show, and I was telling him, like, dude, we're going to get off to a slow start. Like, I don't know what it is about this team, but they just have this weird habit of just getting off to a very slow start, and sure enough, I mean, they turned the ball over, 6-7 times in the first 6 minutes. Like, it's ugly. Like, I don't understand, why this team just comes out so terribly to start off the game, and then the second half, they pull it together. They only turned the ball over, 3 times, that whole second half. And they scored 48 points in the second half. So, I mean, granted, okay, cool. It's nice to see that this team can, play well in the second half, but to play horribly in the first half like that, I don't, I don't know whether it's, coaching-wise or under Brad Underwood, but I just don't see how you can have a team, just flip the script like that where they're just one team in the first half and then a totally another in the second half.
Yeah. This team is so hot and cold. It's really, really cold streaks, followed by insane hot streaks that either widen the Illinois lead or bring you right back. And it's really infuriating because or in the Arizona game, it's really, really competitive to start, and then you lose it at the end. So I don't know why this team is so streaky. That was something where you thought that would end this year, where you thought it would just be a cohesive team that could just play the same basketball for 2 halves, a full game, wire to wire, and that just hasn't happened. And it usually feels like it starts when Kofi leaves the court. I feel like is when those cold streaks start. I don't know if anyone else feels that way.
So, in this game, Underwood went away from Kofi Coburn because of his inability to guard the ball screen with Chris Likes in the game. And you saw them be able to, go on the 12-0 run that really brought them back into the game, and then the run that they had there afterwards because Kofi was off the court. Well, the first one, Kofi was on the court because Chris Likes wasn't playing. And then eventually Miami needed to stop the bleeding. I mean, Illinois' 12-0 run from the 9:09-minute mark all the way to the 5:38-minute mark was, I made it a 17-point game to a 5-point game, and all of a sudden, 5-point game, 5 minutes left, almost 6 minutes left, Miami realizes, okay, we can't keep this team at bay doing what we've been doing. And Chris Likes comes in, and Miami only scores 10 points in the last 5:38, really in the last 9:09. They only score 10 points, but they only score those points because Likes comes in the game, he hits a 3-pointer, he hits a jumper on back-to-back possessions to just really keep Illinois a good distance away, because then, Io does his Io thing and hits his free throws and gets a layup on the fast break and cuts his game all the way down to 1 point. But then, Likes hits his free throws and misses the second one, and Illinois doesn't have enough time after, Io gets called that charge. That was the exact same thing that Io did that got Chris Likes his fourth foul, was he went right at him, and it was just a difference in refereeing of, is it a charge, is it a block? The first time it's called a block, and it, benches Chris Likes because you can't afford to lose him all the way down on the stretch. And then on the very end of the last play that Illinois gets, it's a charge.
My question is why, and I know this is like his team and like that's what he's supposed to do, but why was Io so intent on being the only guy that could have made that last shot, really, the last Illini possession? Like, why was his head down, so focused? Like, it looked like you could tell as he's bringing the ball up, he just shut it down, tunnel vision. And I get why, and he's an NBA talent, that's what he's supposed to be able to do, but like, dude, everyone felt like everyone in the building, everyone at home knew he was going right, was going to try and drive, going to try and make it his own, maybe draw a foul, but like, I feel like there was a pass there somewhere, and you still had like a little bit of time, albeit not much, because that really weird play coming up, bringing the ball up, that wasted like 20 seconds, but I mean, he just had like tunnel vision. Like, it seemed like everything else got blurred out for him.
I guess my only rationale for that is, one, they didn't have any timeouts, so they couldn't drop a play. Two, they probably didn't want to leave any time on the clock because of how good, Chris Likes was.
How the whole team shot.
Well, yeah, basically how the whole team shot, and they didn't want Miami to have the last shot. And three, yeah, I mean, he's supposed to make those shots. He's supposed to be the person. And I guess in hindsight, you can look back and say he had the defender beat, and then Chris Likes just comes out of nowhere with how quick he is, and how good that defensive play was on his part. But I mean, yeah, I think that down the stretch they need to have something in those moments, because everybody knows, as you said, everybody knows I was going to take that shot. Everybody knows what was going to happen. You look at the scouting report, Miami knew it was going to happen. That's how Chris Likes was able to, shift in there and draw the charge. You have good enough players on this team that somebody else can take that shot. And especially when Io, he's the first choice, but when he's taken away, you have to get somebody else to be able to take that shot. And I just think that's something that, they're going to look at, they're going to work on.
And obviously it's situational. Underwood doesn't have any timeouts because he uses pretty much all of them in the first half to try to remedy what was an awful first half, because at halftime, score was 50-31. I mean, it's a 19-point game at halftime. Seemed as over as it could be. Credit to the Illini for still fighting. Credit to the students that stayed at that game, for the fans that also stayed at that game. Georgie took a moment afterwards in the presser to thank the people that stuck around and for keeping that energy high, and promised that this team would get better and their attendance would be rewarded with better play on the court. And I think it will be too. Quick stat dump for you here. Kofi Coburn had an excellent night. He didn't get a lot of time because Chris Likes is so fast, and then on those ball screens, they were really able to sort of take advantage of Kofi, who's good at guarding guards, but I mean, Likes is quick. But Coburn has 23, 8 for 8 shooting, 7 for 8 from the line, 4 rebounds. Trent Frazier, nice game for him. He had 14 points, including 4 for 5 from 3, and 2 free throws, 2 rebounds, 2 assists. Andres Feliz, 11 points, 6 rebounds. Ayo Sumo, 12 points. Really shot the ball poorly, though. 5 for 14 from the field, 0 for 4 from beyond the arc. Ayo had 4 assists. And Georgie Bashadashvili, although his points weren't really high, really nice overall game from him. He was the best passer on the court for most of the game. He had 6 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists. Really did a nice job taking a part on that role that he had last year when he played the 5, and being able to sort of find his way and his rhythm back into that when Kofi wasn't on the court. I don't want to spend a lot of time talking about this game just because I think it's a little bit of an anomaly. I mean, like you brought up, Miami's never going to shoot that well again. I mean, they were shooting 80% at one point in the first half. They couldn't miss anything.
I mean, they ended the first half still shooting like 60% from 3.
Yeah.
And so, they're going to miss those shots in other games, and and it wasn't even Illinois' defense was that bad. There were times that Veselik was wide open. That and he was like, did you read the scouting report? This Australian kid could really shoot, and you saw that. I mean, right away. It seemed like he had 9 points very early on with just how open he was. Wardenberg too, but nights like this aren't always going to be the case. Illinois is going to get off to better starts. Yes, they've been a team that have gone off to slow starts so far. I feel like that's an Underwood thing. I mean, I noticed this about last year. If you looked at them in the first half, I know what they looked like in the second half. Maybe that's credit to him for getting his guys going at halftime. But, I mean, Underwood took full credit for this loss beforehand, saying that he thought he had his guys better prepared, and he guess he didn't. But there were things that he wished he would have done in practice. He said that there was a bad shoot-around before the game, too. Didn't really talk about sort of what goes into a bad shoot-around and how to sort of remedy that other than just guys coming to play. Because you could tell at the beginning of that game, Underwood was subbing violently, just trying to find somebody to bring a spark, and it was just not there for so many of the players, from the starting five all the way down. Bench effort, Alan Griffin I thought looked good off the bench. He went 2 for 4, 2 for 2 from the line. He had 3 rebounds. And he also had a testy play with Chris Likes, which got them both double technicals, and was what put Chris Like on the bench for most of the second half because a double technical, 2 fouls, a sets to you right away, and just like that, he went from 1 foul to 3, and then he picks up his 4th pretty early on in the second half. I didn't really see much from either one there, other than Alan Griffin kind of gave him a little shove when they walked by, and then Chris Likes had something to say about it, and then Alan wasn't just going to take that, and they kind of go back and forth. It felt weird. And I feel like it just made Chris Likes public enemy number 1 in that building. I mean, it was a hostile environment for him.
Yeah.
I mean, you were down there on the court.
Yeah,
You definitely heard everything. And
there was things I heard that I can't say on the show.
of course not.
I bet, yeah.
But man, yeah, they were going in on Chris Likes. And hey, credit to him, dude balled out 28 points. I mean, dude he put the team on his back. I mean, came up big. Obviously, that defensive play at the end to get the charge, 2 back-to-back shots on back-to-back possessions. I mean, I don't know, man, dude, he just looked locked in.
Yeah, there was a point through the game where I started just looking up his highlights, and he's just watching him dribble the ball is like so different because he's already so low to the ground that he doesn't have to have a lot of effort there. No. So he just makes these big guys look silly.
His first step is just explosive, dude.
So I mean, like I understand why you had to limit Coburn's time in that game because he's 7 foot against a 5'7" guy. How are you gonna guard? Like, how do you guard that? Right. You can't if you get switched on a pick and roll. I think
he did a couple times.
Right, exactly. I think Io did a pretty
foot and 5 inches.
That's insane. And he's like,
good job.
Yeah, like Alex said, he's explosive. He like some of his jumps, like to get layups. He was up there. Like he had a really really fast quick step. I mean, it was just his game. Whatever. I think maybe he just is one of those guys that loves to play in the environment. Yeah. Sometimes you watch guys and they get a technical and it kind of gets them going. Yeah. And I mean, as much as the double technical kind of helped, I bet, or helped the Illini, I bet it also helped him try to kind of get his game going, especially the hostile crowd Orange Crush can be. But yeah, I think that's probably the biggest difference was just they had that guy that was unstoppable.
Yeah, and it's just like, I mean, there's nothing you could do. Like, it was just automatic. Yeah. Also, did you guys see he was wearing gold shoes? Don't think we heard that one enough.
Yeah, they said that every time.
Every single
I don't hear
time he had the ball.
Well, yeah.
I mean,
on the broadcast.
I didn't get to listen to Benetti, who I think is one of my favorite play-by-play guys, be paired with Dan Dockich, who...
it made me feel bad things about Jason Benetti, and I don't feel good about that.
Yeah. I love Benetti.
Yes, same.
And I think that's a consensus among most people that watch a lot of sports, and especially a guy that covered the White Sox. Benetti, being the White Sox's play-by-play guy, but he does a great job with college basketball too. We got a lot of Benetti last year in the Maui Invitational, but Dan Dockich doesn't seem to like Illinois, and Dan Dockich, that's not just an Illinois thing though. Dan Dockich has a reputation, and credit to him for having a solid career as a color commentator and some of the good things that he does when breaking down basketball, but there are times that he tries to act like a play-by-play commentator and say things while the game is going on, and that seems to bite him every single time.
Yeah. It is ridiculous, but almost impressive how much he was able to work Michigan into that broadcast. I feel like there was a string of 5 straight minutes that he talked about Michigan.
In what reference? Because I'm
well, he was just talking about how they're number 4 and how they made the jump, but it was an Illinois-Miami game, and it was early in the game, where you could be talking, where it was still kind of close, and Illinois is trying some new things, and he's just going on and on and on about Michigan, how they were unranked, and Juwan Howard, and it's and Benetti made a couple attempts to steer it back, and Dockich just kept going, and it was My roommate muted the TV because
Yeah.
he couldn't handle it anymore.
I think you and a lot of Illini fans mute the TV when Dan Dockich is on the call.
God.
Looking forward to Dockich's beloved Michigan and also a road game against Maryland. We talked about 3 games in 10 days.
Yep.
Maryland's right around the corner, and that's the right now number 3 ranked team in the nation. They're in action in the Big Ten ACC Challenge tonight. We'll see how they do against a Notre Dame team that they probably should handle pretty easily. It's tough. It's tough about this Miami game because it's a quick trip from 6-1 to 6-4. Because realistically, this Maryland and Michigan teams, I mean, they're playing very good basketball and they're ranked as high as they are for good reason. This Illinois team felt like maybe they might find some sort of offensive rhythm with some of those toss-up games against Lindenwood and also Hampton. But then you come out and you see a first half like that, and it really makes you wonder. But maybe it's a fire. Maybe it's a spark that sort of reminds them we need to come to play. Maybe they go on the road against Maryland, and we talked about how last season the road win against Maryland came in Madison Square Gardens, a little different because the Terrapin fans are very good at making it a tough environment to play in. But maybe they go in with a little bit of a chip on their shoulder and a sort of idea that these guys don't expect much, and we know that we're a better team and that we can come out and do, play basketball for an entire 40 minutes rather than 20 or when they so choose. So we'll see. That Michigan game, Michigan showed some of its weaknesses against Louisville. They had a really hard time scoring in the way that Louisville defended. Hopefully Underwood, who is a phenomenal defensive head coach, can sort of take some of those points and apply them to that upcoming game against Michigan. And we'll see because, they lose that game to Louisville, but Louisville's number 1 team in the country for a reason.
Yeah.
But, I mean, we're also talking about the number 3 and number 4 teams. So maybe Michigan got a little too much hype because of just really impressive wins, in their tournament and over Feast Week. But also, you got to give them credit for those impressive wins. So really tough. What are you guys hoping to see Illinois improves from the final whistle of Monday's game into these upcoming 2 games, Big Ten schedule. So that's when it really, really starts to matter.
I mean, I just want to see the turnovers go away. Like, it's just way. I mean, obviously, every team makes turnovers, and there's nothing you can do to stop that. But just less. I just tighten it up. That for sure is a big one. Other than that, I mean, it's just I just need some cohesiveness, just some continuity from beginning to end in the game. If you're going to be bad for the whole game, be bad for the whole game. If you're going to be good for the whole game. Like, I'm tired of the back and forth and, the tale of 2 teams. Like, I just want one team that I know I'm getting, and I would like a step towards that. And hopefully it's a good team. So
Yeah, I think that's my thing, too, is just making sure they come out and they understand that they shouldn't have lost against Miami. Yes, that 27-point comeback was amazing, and they almost did it, but they didn't, and they should have never been in that position in the first place. I don't think this is a team to make excuses, though, especially with Brad Underwood as coach. You could tell that by how quick he took blame for that loss. They just have to come out and realize that they messed up their opportunity, to start off this tough 3-game stretch with a win. And if they want to have any positives to look forward to after they play Maryland and Michigan, they have to. You don't have to win those games because it's very unlikely, but you have to play like you're able to win those games a good percentage of the time. And a win, I mean, if that happens, that'll be great for their confidence. So you just have to play, like you're a bubble team trying to get into the rankings.
Yeah. I think I'm really looking to the bench right now because Devonta Williams got a lot of playing time and deserves to be playing time. I mean, similar to the team they threw last year's starting 5 out there for extended periods of time because that is a team that can defend small ball really well and I mean really all over the court. And Alan Griffin looked really good when in the minutes that he got off the bench. He had 14 minutes, 8 points, and we talked about a shooting threat. And it feels like he just gives you some sort of he gives you shots that Andres Feliz doesn't. And Devonta Williams, I mean, I've kind of throughout my tenure on this radio show, I've always kind of been against the Devonta Williams time. But I mean, you need to see something more out of your bench, and I don't know exactly what that is, just because. When Kofi has an off night, when Ayo really just isn't getting the ball good in the hoop, and like when Feliz and Frazier have matchups that they're maybe not taking advantage of, there's got to be some answers, and I really want to see Alan Griffin and Devonta Williams use a little bit more. I want to see if Bosmans Verdonk can do things against Big Ten opponents, because I mean you guys talked about the major ones, turnovers and coming out in the first half. So this is sort of a backseat adjustment that I'd like to see made, but it's still something that Illinois needs to improve on it.
I think we're getting close to seeing some kind of lineup or rotation switch because we've talked about on the show before that Feliz is awesome coming off the bench. He's been playing well, but I mean, DeMonte Williams and Alan Griffin are playing well enough where you can rationalize possibly putting them at the 3.
Yeah. I think Alan Griffin wholeheartedly because he gives effort every single
Huge
time he's on the
block.
court. Yeah, he had the huge block that near the end of that game on what would have been an easier layup for Miami, and then who knows. And DeMonte Williams, they're both effort guys. Andres Feliz is too, but Andres Feliz I feel like and the thing is, Andres is also one of those players that will accept a backseat role because that's what the team needs him to do, and he'll willingly accept it. And that doesn't even mean that he'll get less minutes because, in this game, DeMonte Williams had more minutes on the court than Andres Feliz is because it's what ended up working. And that's really ultimately what what you'd like to see from Underwood and the decisions he makes. Kipper, that was a rough 4 minutes for Kip. Comes out there immediately, and Underwood even made this comment to the point that you could tell he was seething mad about it, is that Kip comes on the court just because that was during when Underwood was looking for a spark, he immediately puts up a 3. He hasn't made a 3 all year. What are you doing trying to get something going from outside, just be a part of the offense. He gets tangled up and has a few fouls too, just, man,
Not great.
This is not the Kipper Nichols we thought we had 2 years ago.
Well, he played which game was it that Kipper came in played pretty well a couple weeks ago?
A couple weeks ago?
Yeah, it was this season.
Was it Citadel?
Maybe. I think it was one of those, either Old Dominion or Citadel. He came in and played pretty well for a stretch of a few minutes, but
yeah, who knows? There's still plenty of season left, but it's looking like he might just be a spot on your bench.
Yep.
Which is sad to see because
Yes.
Kipper really showed a lot of potential at the beginning of his career. Moving on to the NFL. We didn't really get to talk to NFL about it on Monday because we had so much catching up to do from Thanksgiving week. So I want to jump right into those Thanksgiving games because the Chicago Bears played on Thanksgiving. They come away with a win, 24-20, against the David Blau-led Lions. I didn't recognize him until all of a sudden they said Purdue, and I was like,
Yep, that's what
this
it
guy.
is.
I remember this guy, and he really made a statement in the way that he played. Some people were saying that he outplayed Trubisky. I don't know if that's really the case because Trubisky still 29 for 38, 338 yards, 3 touchdowns, played really well. But I think it was just the Lions' dependency on the passing game and the fact that Blau made some big third down conversion throws and things like that. But Bears defense comes up and really shuts down the Lions in the second half. They only scored 3 points, where the Trubisky-led Bears get 14 and end up winning 24-20 in the first game of the Thanksgiving slate. What did you guys like? What didn't you guys like? Are you all the way back in on the Bears and think that this 10-16 can maybe go to the playoffs? Or
Well, I mean, yeah, what else do I have? But I think Mr. Trubisky played probably his best game of the season.
Yes.
No, definitely his best game of the season.
Yes.
They really needed that because they still only won by 4. Blau, I think he played really well. Nobody really knew what to expect from him being a third string. I think that first touchdown he threw was kind of fluky. But I mean, it was a touchdown nonetheless. I think the defense played really well against the run. And I just think that the offense, came out to play. And that's something you haven't really seen. You always see them, 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out. I hate watching, NFL broadcasts now because every time they talk about 3 and out percentage, the Bears are, right at the top. But, they came to play, and, they beat a tough divisional opponent on Thanksgiving.
Are
in
they a
prime
tough
time.
opponent? Are they
at home on
I
Thanksgiving?
was going to let you have
For
it,
the
but-
Bears? For the Bears this season on national television,
The Lions have
Against
been
the
pretty
Lions?
stinky.
I don't
The
know.
Lions have been pretty bad, but this was Trubisky's best game by far. Finally got some run support. Montgomery had 4.7 per carry, which is good. Anthony Miller, breakout game. You love to see that. Now you just have to keep it going against a Dallas defense that is missing their top linebacker in Leighton Van Der Esch, and you just got to make something happen. So,
Bears are a little banged up too, though.
Yes.
Prince Mukamura is doubtful to play, as well as Broniker ruled out, Taylor Gabriel ruled out, Danny Trevathan ruled out, Bobby Massey ruled out, all for tomorrow's game. So the Bears are also banged up.
Yes.
We'll get into the Dallas game because it is actually tomorrow and very relevant right now. But Alex, anything that these guys didn't touch on that you wanted to talk about from what you saw from the game?
No.
I know you love when you get to be at home and watch the games on TV and see good results.
It was probably like the most frustrating win I've ever seen in a while. Like after the game, I was pissed after a win, so that tells you something. But I mean, it was a game that they needed to win. I mean, against the Giants and the Lions, these were two teams, bad teams that you need to pick up wins against. Because now you look at a schedule between Dallas, Green Bay,
Kansas City,
and Minnesota. So I mean, you picked up some key wins there to put yourself to keep yourself in the playoff run. So I mean I really hope they somehow some way get 4 in a row now, but I don't know. Granted, I like this. I like when they win. It was nice to see Trubisky have a good game for once, even though the interception looked kind of But we'll see.
Yeah. So
I'm just like
no,
I don't know. Like
like Brendyn said, what are you gonna do? Say no, we're not doing it. Like it's over.
Yeah, you gotta have faith.
Give up.
Right. Until they're mathematically out, they're still in.
Tell
That's
him,
fair.
Alex.
That is the most true statement ever said. So go ahead and look at the Cowboys. Dak Prescott having a really great year. Ezekiel Elliott. Dak Prescott?
Just because he's leading the league in passing yards makes you a good quarterback now?
He is having a great year. I think I am all in on Dakota.
Really?
I am all in on Dak. You guys know this because I've said that he's been leading my fantasy team in reality. But 3,788 yards, 23 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. You'd like to see those interception numbers go down a little bit, but a high scoring offense and he's a competitor. That's the reason I'll always love Dak is because
I'll accept that.
He doesn't ever let his team get out of games. He's got like a Russell Wilson-esque, like calm, collected, like feels like he can make a drive whenever he needs to.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I think Dak's having a really good year. I'm surprised that you were so quickly to shut down that idea.
I mean, he's having a good year. I don't know if he's having a really good. I don't think he's having a great year. I think he's having a good year. It's fine. But I mean,
he's having like a top of quarterbacks. He's having like a top 7 or 8 year.
Okay, but like I don't think he's this year. Like I don't think overall he's a top 7 or 8 quarterback.
No, I think he's top 10.
I mean, if we're going by like passing yards, like also on this list with Dak Prescott, number 1 him, number 2 Jameis Winston, number 3 Phillip Rivers, number 4 Jared Goff, and then Tom Brady. So like, yeah,
interesting.
So if we're going by passing yards, that makes you a good quarterback.
Here's my thing with the Cowboys, is I think they can beat anyone. I know the Cowboys have this reputation of they lose to the teams that are good and they beat teams that are bad. But also, the Cowboys, they still have a good O-line. They have Zeke, Dak, and Amari Cooper. They have the talent pieces there. And Michael Gallup as a wide receiver 2 option, and Jason Witten, a veteran tight end that's had a fine year.
Randall Cobb,
yeah. A good slot receiver. So right there, their entire offense, very, very structurally sound, and you feel like can do anything. Their defense, a few injuries, and you talked about Van Der Esch, and over the top, they haven't been great taking down teams, but I think the Cowboys are sort of in this situation that Illinois basketball is right now, where if they come to play and win, and like they can go out there and beat some teams, but man, they just haven't been doing it. And laying that performance against the Bills on Thanksgiving with everyone watching was tough to see. Credit to the Bills though; they looked great in that game.
That was to the Jets though.
Yeah,
that's what I keep coming back to.
Yeah, I know. But that was an anomaly. The Cowboys won every single offensive category in that game. They had the more yards passing, rushing, like better turnover ratio, everything. And the Jets just Sam Darnold found a way to win and started the whole run the table conversation, and then they lost them.
Yeah, they have the star power. Yeah, they can beat anybody, quote unquote. But like, their starting center is also out. I think they're down another lineman, and so it's just like, I just think the Bears. I feel really good about the Bears in this game, and I think that's why they're, I think that's why the Cowboys are only favored by 3. Just pull the hair out of my head. Cool.
I don't know if I feel really good.
I just feel like, all right, like this.
I feel like this is a winnable game, and
Exactly.
I'm probably gonna feel like this for the rest of the season, is because they have to play the Cowboys, Packers, Vikings, and Chiefs. I think they're all winnable games, but I don't know if I feel good about any of them.
Especially coming out of this Detroit game, like it was a very ugly win against a very bad Detroit team against a David Blau-led offense. But, I mean, no disrespect to David Blau. He did have a solid game. But, I mean, that's just a game that you should win more comfortably and
David
not by...
Blau is the future in Detroit.
I mean, dude has a 48 on Madden. Like, that's just not...
He has a 48 on
He has
Madden.
a 48 on Madden.
Did they
That's what I
update
heard.
him?
They probably did.
Good.
Now.
He needs to update.
Yeah, he definitely... After that game,
65.
okay, see? He definitely... After that game, I was like, you better get an update because there's no
gonna
way
figure
he's
out
playing
these
like a
Madden
48 right
ratings.
now. But, I mean, regardless, that's a game you should not win by 4 points. That should be, you know, a 2-possession win.
Right.
Like
If you see Mr. Trubisky, you know, however many yards he had, three touchdowns, 1 interception, you want to see, you know, a bigger win than 4 points. But I just think it goes back to that first touchdown. Like, I feel like that first touchdown made it a lot closer than it seemed. That was just a blown coverage on a 75-yard, you know, pass. But I think that every game is a winnable game, but you know they have to play different than they've played, you know, this whole year.
Say they play very well against Dallas, then I'm like, okay, like, you know, now it's nice to see that they actually won, you know, well, if that's a very good sense. But I mean, yeah, no, I haven't really been convinced at all, and for good reason. I mean,
Yeah, of course.
it's the Bears. I mean, I'm in
So-
it for life, so whatever.
So whatever.
I'm in it for life, so whatever.
That was awesome.
It's gonna be my
So, okay.
I've been it forever.
But
So what?
the Cowboys, you guys all think a winnable game.
Yes.
And I don't mean to show my bias here, but do you really think at Lambeau, following week, is a winnable game?
No, I don't feel good about the game.
I was saying
No,
what?
not at all.
I was gonna say
I still think you finish the season 8-8.
who are you beating?
I think you beat the
Cowboys
Cowboys and the
and who?
Vikings.
And the Vikings?
That's
Yeah.
about it.
Bears own the
in
Vikings.
Minnesota.
The Bears own the Vikings.
Vikings week 17 with everything to play for.
Nah, it would be fine.
Hey, if they continue to choke, Bears, it might be them too, like going for that last seed.
We'll see. Yeah.
So Bears might have a lot to play for too. Bang
But
bang.
if they win out.
Or if Minnesota continues to choke.
Minnesota's upcoming schedule, I have to look at it. Because
They play
I know they
Green
have,
Bay,
it's easy.
Bears.
it's
Chargers.
Lions, Chargers,
Yeah.
Packers, Bears. So the Lions is a win. The Chargers have beaten
You don't
every
know,
NFC
yeah.
North team that they've played.
Right.
And then
So Vikings go 1-2 and going into the Bears game.
I
One
that
and
would
three.
still make
I
them
need the
9 and
Lions to
6
show
going into
up
that
so
game.
they go 0-3.
Right.
He said
So
So
you
the
need
Bears-
the Bears to win out.
I
to be
need David
competing.
Blau to.
David Blau to go off.
No, because if you finish with the same record as them, then you win the tiebreaker.
Fair.
I need that man.
So
to
you
go
need
up from
so
65
Bears
to
Bears can lose
75.
one more, and I'll give that one to the Packers. There we go. Bears beat the Chiefs. Give me it.
Give me it.
Because isn't that Chiefs game at Chicago too?
Yeah.
It's at Chicago. Sunday night.
Oh no! I'm
Prime
just
time.
saying.
Prime time Mitch Trubisky, prime time Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah. Well.
I think the Bears, they're not dead in the water, but they're
struggling.
yeah.
They're struggling to stay
They've been
afloat.
struggling
The
since
problem
week
is,
one.
I feel like you would feel better about the Bears if they just take care of business against the Giants and Lions, who both have been. I mean, the Giants quietly are the second worst record team in the NFL. The Dolphins have more wins than them. The Redskins have more wins than them. The Giants are a 2-win team. They're bad, and that was a 5-point win. And the Lions, you know, Thanksgiving Day on their third-string quarterback, that's a 4-point win. You don't see inspiring wins, and of course, you know, you have the tough losses against the Chargers, and other games such as like the Raiders and the Rams. I just don't see it happening for the Bears. But we'll stop picking on you guys, and we'll go around the rest of the league.
It's fine.
Bills-
Thanks, man.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
we talked about it. Bills, Cowboys. Bills are very, very for real. They got a good defense. I think Josh Allen might end up like the second best quarterback out of that class. I mean, Lamar Jackson's on like a huge trajectory right now, but we've also seen mobile quarterbacks get figured out. I know Lamar Jackson seems like a different breed.
Tell you, man, the Ravens, then I had them all year.
You have had him all year.
all year.
And that's the upcoming matchup is Ravens Bills. I think it's going to be a lot of fun because I think people look at this team and they think, oh, the Ravens, and they immediately jump to thinking like Ray Lewis, Terrell Suggs, great defense. Ravens are figuring it out on defense, but they're not that level of defense right now. And I think that I think that the Bills could put some problems on them because, you know, Frank Gore, Devin Singletary, Josh Allen, all the guys that the Bills have. And John Brown, Cole Beasley had a revenge game against the Cowboys. He had 6 receptions, 110 yards, and a touchdown. I don't know. I'm excited for that game. And like I said, I think the Cowboys, they can beat anybody, but they struggle. And that game's only close because of a Sunday tradition of Dak Prescott garbage time yards. And then Saints Falcons, a fun game at the end of Thanksgiving night. Saints clinched the division 10-2. The Falcons kicker has figured out how to hack onside kicks. That was a lot of fun to see. Falcons offense still hasn't figured out how to score touchdowns though. I mean, Matt Ryan had 2 touchdown passes, but I mean, yeah,
That man got decked on that block.
that was awesome.
He just ate.
Yeah.
And quickly moving on to Sunday, Bengals get their first win against the Jets, who are no longer running the table. The Titans beat the Colts. I think the Titans are legit. I think Ryan Tannehill is very much the answer. I think this is my thing with the Titans. I think they made this this offense for Marcus Mariota, and then Tannehill accidentally was a better fit because he's still mobile. The way that Mariota has the read option stuff that he could do, but he's a way better arm as we've seen in the NFL time. The Titans are 7-5 with a great defense.
I did not know this.
And a pretty easy schedule going forward. I think that they could easily do an AFC.
You're telling me Raiders, Texans twice, and Saints is an easy schedule?
Just kidding. I thought they had an easy schedule. I was pulling it up as I said it.
They're probably going to end 8-8.
I didn't end up 9.
No, he's going 8.
They're stealing one from the Texans and they got the Raiders. I think the Texans and we'll get to the Texans later. But Dolphins beat the Eagles. That's sad. Remember the ha to all those Eagles fans that were talking about how amazing their team is and it's the most complete team in the NFL and Carson Wentz is going to win the MVP.
They fooled us. They had me fooled too.
Because they are, man. There's one Eagles fan, and Jake, you know exactly who I'm talking about, who is just very adamant about how good the Eagles are, and to see them crumble the way that they are, and can't even beat the Dolphins in a must-win game because you let Devontae Parker have 159 yards and 2 touchdowns on 7 receptions. Guard that man. Packers take care of Giants in a
Colts
close
claim
game.
Chase McLaughlin.
Did they?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's big because Vinatieri's done after this year, and probably done after this week if he doesn't hit a field goal. That was the thing after Chase McLaughlin's tenure with the 49ers was he was going to get a job.
Yeah.
And the Bills need a kicker. The Bears might try out more kickers. Obviously, Vinatieri needed to be replaced eventually. There were other teams that weren't happy with their kickers. So you knew Chase McLaughlin was going to get brought in and given a job because we saw what he can do. He was a bright spot on a bad Illinois team.
I would like to say on the Titans thing one more time. I still think the Colts win this division because the Colts have the Bucks.
The division? They beat out the Texans?
Oh, I'm idiot.
Texans are 8-4.
Never mind. Yeah, completely forgot about that. Completely forgot about the Texans. I was thinking. Never mind. We're good.
You're good.
Continue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the Colts fight for. I think it's a Colt between the Colts and the Texans for the. That's what stinks though for the Colts is for that wild card spot. It's between the Colts and the Texans, and probably the Bills, the other wild card, and the Titans beat the Colts both times.
Right.
So they have that huge tiebreaker over them. Packers beat the Giants. Not much to talk about there because the Giants, like I said, are a very bad team. Beautiful snow football game. Fox, please don't ever do hologram numbers ever again. It looks terrible. Really
It looked bad.
They did hologram numbers?
They because of the snow, they did a. It felt like they were projecting the numbers on there. So then when the players ran by the hash marks of the numbers, it was over top of the player that was running.
That's weird.
And enough people complained that they immediately got rid of it.
I will say that ESPN's really good about that, really aware, and when people complain about stuff on Twitter and it's overwhelmingly negative, they just kill it.
Was it that there was the first down marker at the beginning of the year that it was yellow, and everybody was like, "This looks like there's a flag every first down."
Well, there was also something in the lower box, the score box. I don't know if it was for NFL, but it was for something that was weird, and people were complaining about it on Twitter.
They fix it. Yeah.
So I will say that.
Power to media companies that value a population on Twitter yelling at them.
Yeah.
Because as much as Twitter and people on Twitter sometimes need to be ignored, when you have 90% of the public saying this is awful, probably everyone thinks that. Steelers beat the Browns. I don't know how good the Steelers are. I think the Browns need to fire Freddie Kitchens. I think that's obvious. Urban Meyer to the Browns. Redskins Panthers. I'm just kidding about that. No, I don't think Urban Meyer coaches the NFL. Do you?
No, I thought he was going to go to USC, but they brought back Helton.
The end of the year that Helton had kind of gave him life, saved his job.
I don't know. I mean, where else would Urban possibly go? I mean, I don't think he's not going to go to the Washington job.
Giants.
Oh no, I was talking about college. I think he stays in college too.
I could see him going there. I don't know. I threw that out there as just like a joke because, like, you know, Ohio State, and then he could come back and be the
Right.
Cleveland Browns head coach. But I mean, Cleveland Brown head coaching job's kind of nice. Now that this year, like the air's been taken out of this huge hype that they had. I feel
Yeah.
like now you have talent without these like expectations. Just a thought.
Yeah.
Redskins beat the Panthers. The Panthers don't know what's going on. They fired Ron Rivera. I think the Panthers are like in like a little bit of a down spiral right now because it's Kyle Allen or Cam Newton your quarterback. You know, you've got McCaffrey, but you don't really have a lot else going for you. You just fired your head coach. You just let Darius Geis run all over you for 129 yards and 2 touchdowns. Yikes. Buccaneers beat the Jags. Nick Foles gets benched in the game, and Minshew comes back, and now they're saying that Minshew's going to be the quarterback for the rest of the year. I think that's I'd like to actually talk about this. I think that's the dumbest decision anybody's made, like coaching wise, this season. You just paid Nick Foles for 2 years. You lost him week 1 on the same play that he threw a beautiful 40-yard touchdown strike because of a broken collarbone. You bring him back. You didn't really have much of a shot at doing anything. You know, if they win this game, they're 5-7. Now they're 4-8. But like, you shut him down for the rest of the year. Now you're only going to get 1 year tape. You could figure out all the kinks with your offense for the rest of this season with the Jaguars with Nick Foles, and then next year is him playing for his job. Do we keep you around or do we go to Minshew because we've seen what he can do? Instead, you're letting Minshew get all this momentum again, and now you have the situation that you had in Philadelphia all over again, except Nick Foles is Carson Wentz in this case, where you have that good established starting quarterback, and then you have this other guy that has shown you life and has created hype around your program. So.
Sure.
I don't know. I do not agree with that Nick Foles benching at all. Rams kill the Cardinals. Broncos steal one from the Chargers. Who knows how good the Chargers are. Chiefs destroy the Raiders. And then the biggest 2 games of the week, Ravens 49ers, Patriots Texans. We'll talk about Ravens 49ers first. A lot of people were calling this a Super Bowl preview. I don't know if I totally see it, but everything that you've seen so far in this season, I think you have to agree. Because they're 2 very complete teams. The Ravens show the way that you beat the 49ers is you make Jimmy Garoppolo throw because not to take away from Jimmy Garoppolo, but making him throw, the Niners still only threw the ball 21 times. Like he's still, it's still just a running offense, and you need to find a way to clog up those holes. And I think the 49ers will struggle when they come against really good rush defenses offensively, but their defensive line is so good that they're usually going to control field position battle. And Robbie Gould is a heck of a kicker. So you're probably always in range, sort of the same way that the Ravens have Justin Tucker, where you're always in range. The Ravens did the Bears game plan at the end of that game, where they got that first down, and then the final 2 minutes, they just ran the ball super conservatively because they trusted their guy. Difference between Eddie Pinheiro and Justin Tucker is that Justin Tucker puts it right down the middle, and the Ravens win that game. Not to bring that back up, but I mean, that's what I noticed. Like right away, I was like, this is exactly what the Bears did. But nobody's giving Harbaugh the same grief that Nagy got because he makes the kick.
Right.
And I think that sort of brings back the realistic NFL fan to be like, wait a second, like it kind of just depends on if that kick goes in, because then nobody talked about Nagy like that at all for a week, and it kind of it would quieted down that Fire Nagy crowd. Yeah, what could have been. Texans Patriots. Texans looked really good. It really only became a close game because James White was getting receptions and had so much room to work with at the very end of the game. And then the Patriots almost messed around and got that onside kick. But Texans looked really solid, even though their defense looked like clowns walking in with the SWAT team uniforms before the game. Just a weird decision on their part, and I don't know what. I don't know what to get out of the Texans, because I feel like the Texans always give you one of these games, usually not against the Patriots, but usually against another team. I mean, even against the Chiefs earlier this year, where you feel like, they're really good, and they got, Deshaun Watson in this offense that could really make things happen, and a defense that could get sacks and get after the quarterback, and some cornerbacks that can fly around, but they still seem to fizzle out near the end. But I don't know. Do we have concerns about Tom Brady right now after this game?
No.
No?
I mean, a little bit, but every time anybody's ever had a concern with him, I mean, he wins a Super Bowl. So I think until he does not perform in the playoffs, it's not right for us to be like, he's not good anymore.
He's still leading the league. He's top 5 in the league in passing yards, everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
That was a
he's
callback.
I know. He's still just not the same Tom Brady, though.
Well, no.
Well, yeah.
Because he's a billion years older than he was.
But he's not even the same Tom Brady that he was like 2 years ago, I don't think. And that aging Tom Brady's still able to make things happen. Like, you take away the same way that I think it was important for the Ravens to have a good tight end in Mark Andrews, I think Brady kind of needed that Gronkowski to help him out with like a college type offense that can.
Well, just a
find
safety
somebody.
blanket.
Yeah.
Too. Like,
And right now his safety blankets are Julian Edelman and James White,
Right.
and I feel like they're just more coverable than Gronkowski was because he was one of the
Right.
smartest
Yeah.
he was a freak.
people to scheme against in the league. And then Monday night game, the one that had the most NFC North implications was the Seahawks-Vikings game. Seahawks again look very good. Those green jerseys are always good looking on primetime. Kirk Cousins continues his struggles in primetime. He went 22 for 38, 276 yards and 2 touchdowns, but still can't seem to win one when the lights are shining brightest. I don't know. I think when people talk about like who looks good but isn't good, I'm always going to say the Vikings because they still haven't beaten a team with a winning record. I said that before the game against the Seahawks is the reason I took the Seahawks in the game. Obviously, it makes sense. The Seahawks at home and Russell Wilson with an MVP type season, but I really don't think the Vikings are that good. I think the idea that they have a good defense, yeah, it's true, and they still have Harrison Smith and some of those guys that I think make their defense run, but it's not like it's some upper echelon defense. And then offensively, if Dalvin Cook isn't doing what he did at the beginning of the season, and you have to rely on Kirk Cousins to get the ball to Stephon Diggs, and if Adam Thielen ever comes back, then I think it's an offense that's very, very easy to keep at bay. Still put up 30. Seahawks though better off. They put up 37. Some people think the Seahawks are like the second best team in the NFL.
I don't hate that.
As much as I don't like the guy, Pete Carroll, heck of a coach.
Yeah, I mean when they're cooking, like they're scary,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very true.
and they are cooking.
And Russell Wilson just always pulls it out.
Yeah,
Like
Who's the MVP right now?
Lamar Jackson.
I still think Lamar Jackson as well.
Lamar. Yeah.
Russell's close second though.
I think it's a fight between those two. McCaffrey's obviously gotten himself out of the race.
Yeah, it's tough when your team just doesn't win.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then any other quarterback that you could put up there, like
Nope, not one that I can think of.
no, I'm not even going to make the case. I'm not even going to make the case for Aaron Rodgers. I scoffed at Binns when he made the comment that Rodgers was getting MVP votes because of name recognition alone after his like perfect passer rating game.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, like anybody, Homer or not, would be crazy to think that any quarterback or any player other than those two deserved MVP looks other than maybe Michael Thomas, but that's just not going to happen. And you just
Yeah. But also, Aaron Rodgers' perfect passer rating came really early in the season. So, like,
Right.
I feel like the MVP race was, like,
Anybody could
still
do it.
open.
I mean, you brought up like, was it a really good season? At one point, people were like asking, like, is Dak having a good enough season to be in the MVP race?
Yeah.
Because it was week 5, it was week 6, it was whatever it was. Jake, I'm gonna throw you a bone.
Yes,
We're gonna finish the show with baseball.
Finally.
It's been quiet. It's been a while since the Nationals won the World Series, and we talked a lot about baseball, and we talked about how we would fix our baseball teams, but some baseball news is happening. This time free agency is a little bit more interesting early on than it has been. Maybe because we're not looking at just 2 players, and there's more of a bank of players to look at. So I'm just going to let you lead. Just you take this baseball conversation wherever you'd like, and let the people know what's been going on.
So numbers dump. Mike Moustakas signed with the Reds. Zach Wheeler signs with the Phillies. Dylan Bundy gets traded to the Angels. Those are really the big ones. Cole Hamels signed with the Braves as well. Garrett Cole, Steven Strasburg obviously haven't signed. Boris Guys, the 2 biggest free agents available, as well as Anthony Rendon. But you're right, it's finally happening. Like, you have people signing early, which is great, probably because it's more of an expansive market, like you mentioned. I love the Moustakas for the Reds deal, because I think the Reds are going to be a borderline playoff team next year that wins like 88 to 90 games and just really makes the Cubs and Cardinals miserable. Phillies, I love the deal for Zach Wheeler because their pitching was horrid last year, and they spent all that money on Bryce Harper to try and get back to the playoffs. And I low-key like the Dylan Bundy trade for the Angels because he has so much raw talent, and they just need pitching, and it's such... Like, we need to get Mike Trout back in the playoffs more than anything. And, I mean, you'll take it. I did see something on Twitter today, though, that said Anthony Rendon is comparable to Mike Trout because he's been putting up Mike Trout-like numbers. Absolutely not. And it was like a Nats fan who said you'd rather have, it was like a dumb hypothetical, but would you rather have Anthony Rendon and Steven Strasburg rather than Mike Trout? It depends on the team. I'm still taking Mike Trout over anybody every day of the week. and yeah, you get Strasburg, who's the #1 ace, and you get Rendon, who's an MVP candidate, but they're not the best player in baseball.
Yeah.
You're just not doing that.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way.
The-
If they
the
really
AL
want
MVP.
if they really want to make it work, the Nationals should re-sign both those guys and then call the Angels and say, hey, you want Rendon and Strasburg for Mike Trout?
And if you're the Nationals, you think you get the better end of that deal because you just get the best player out of the trade?
No, it doesn't get done. The Angels hang up on you.
Well, I'm just saying, like, if you're the Nationals, you. Okay.
No, but
If
you
somehow
don't because
some-
otherwise
if
you're
somehow
not.
some way they can say.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the Nationals aren't going to re-sign both those guys anyway. They might not sign either of them.
Who out of the people that have signed free agents got the most better? If that's correct.
Which
English.
team?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess the Phillies, just because it was the biggest need. Like, the Reds didn't really need Moustakas, and the Braves didn't really need Hamels, but the Phillies really needed another pitcher. And should have been the White Sox. I can't believe he chose. I mean, I guess I can, but Wheeler chose the Phillies over a better offer, really, a higher money offer from the White Sox, which sucks because it just seems like nobody wants to go to the White Sox, and now they have to try and get Madison Bumgarner to agree to go there, which I would imagine they'll go for him over Dallas Keuchel, but we'll see.
Who of the notable free agents still out there? What are your guesses on where the Garrett Coles?
Garrett Cole's going
Rendons go?
to the Angels. I firmly believe that since before the season ended, just because they need pitching, they need to get back to the playoffs, and they have the money. And he's from Southern California. He went to UCLA.
Who doesn't want to be coached by Joe Madden?
Exactly. I mean, I'm totally with that. I mean, the Angels, Garrett Cole would be to the Angels what John Lester was to the Cubs,
Exactly.
essentially.
A little better than that, though. As
I mean,
good as Lester was for the Cubs.
Lester was at his peak, but yes, Cole right now is probably the best pitcher in baseball. Rendon, it's so weird because he just doesn't talk to anybody, and I feel like we're just gonna find out one day. He's just gonna say, yeah, I signed with the Nats or the Rangers or whoever. But the Nationals and the Rangers, I think, are the top two for Rendon. Strasburg, I would like to think that the Nationals are going to keep going with this investment, but there's a lot of smoke around San Diego for him, like an uncomfortably large amount of smoke around that. But I mean, and the Padres do need pitching bad, or the White Sox just take this, this rejection from Wheeler and they just pivot and go for Strasburg. I don't count the White Sox out because they have even
lot of money.
even after the Grandal deal, they still only have like $50 million committed to their payroll for next year.
Yeah.
That's before arbitration and everything, but so it'll go up. But still, they have the money.
They do have the money. Why do you think people are saying no to the White Sox?
I don't know. They're an attractive team. They just signed one of the best catchers in baseball, if not the best. He's number 2.
Got that young core.
They have the guy who just won the batting title. They have an emerging superstar in Yohan Moncada. They have someone who's going to be a superstar in Eloy Jimenez. They have Jose Abreu, who's still a 30 home run guy who could be in an all-star game, still a multi-time all-star already. They have Giolito, who got Cy Young votes. They have Michael Kopech, who was a top 5 prospect in baseball and throws absolute gas. They have Dylan Cease, who also was a top 50 prospect. I don't get it. I don't know if it's just because people don't want to be playing for the secondary team in Chicago or what, but I think the White Sox are a very attractive destination. They should be. That's why Grandal went there. Grandal's an awesome catcher, too, defensively, and just for calling games. Like, pitchers should be flocking to go there.
Yeah.
That's weird.
I don't know, man.
I don't know why people don't go there.
You got your baseball fix? Anything else you want to share?
No, I'm good.
Yeah. All right. That's baseball in December.
Yeah, pretty much. I'm just happy people are signing.
Yeah, it's good to see some free agents.
So much more
Some
fun.
free
this way.
agency action. I think last year was just because we were focused on the two. We were focused on Machado, we were focused on Harper, and we knew they were probably both going to new teams. And this year, as I said, there's just a bigger bang.
Yeah. I mean, there's more widespread talent, but it's way more fun.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, Moustakas was a free agent last year.
Yeah.
Like, he had to settle for a 1-year deal. Like, it's still weird. And there's 2 guys from Japan coming over who are supposed to be pretty good. Nobody's talking about them yet.
Well, it'll be a while because it is baseball, and in some of this case, it's Scott Boras, and so it takes a little bit for deals to get done.
113 days till baseball's back.
There we go, 113 days. Luckily, though, you only have to wait until Monday to hear back from us, because that's going to do it for our show today. We're going to have a show on Monday, no show on Wednesday, and for the rest of the semester as finals come up and our schedules get even more hectic than they already are. So Monday should be a really fun show because we'll do some year-end lists, we'll do some decade lists, we'll look back, we'll look forward.
Decade. I didn't even think
Yeah,
about that.
we're-
That's crazy.
We're gonna recap 2019 and
Are you all right?
No, it's just no. I'm good.
wait,
You got really.
You seem
No,
really
it's just crazy to think
despairing
about.
about
No, it's not.
wait,
It's
what
not.
year were you born?
2000.
Dude, this kid.
It's not like it's like,
It's only a second.
oh man,
decade.
I'm scared, but it's like
Like-
that's just crazy to think about. Like I remember when 2010 hit. You know,
I
We all
mean,
did.
yeah.
You were freaking out about this decade game.
it's not. You guys are
like,
making a
he
big
got
deal about it. I'm just like,
overwhelmed. It's just like,
You're
all right,
so
dude.
sad.
okay, time is scary. Okay,
Yeah, we're all inevitably going to the same place. It's horrifying.
He's just like the decade.
I just didn't think about it. Like this
2020,
Monday will be the
man.
last show, the last Illini Drive show of the 2010s. Like that's crazy if you think about it.
I mean, yeah. Unless Tuesday Thursday crew decides to do a Tuesday show.
Okay. I mean, I get it. Like, I remember when 2010 was
But
coming
they're
out.
not
me and
us,
my,
so.
me and my buddy.
I don't know what's happening.
I remember me and my buddy Chris. Shout out to him, man. One of my best friends.
Shout out Chris.
we when 10 was coming up, we were like, "Yo, what's Madden gonna be? Is it gonna be Madden 010? Is it just gonna be Madden 10?"
I remember
Like,
that.
we were like, we were.
I remember
flipping out.
that.
We were
No,
like,
I remember
is it
that.
gonna be Madden 010? Like, how is it gonna be now? We were just like, what? So I get it, but
Thanks.
Did he really just say that?
Yeah.
010?
yeah, we were kind of dumb.
It was
We
it was
weren't the
it was a while
brightest
ago. Time heals. Time makes us smarter, and time is scary. As Brendyn
Yeah,
pointed
no,
out.
that was the one thing we were like freaking out about. Like, oh my god, what's Madden gonna be?
Brendon's gonna go home and just sit on his bed and like stare
Okay,
at the
just
wall.
think about it. Just think about it.
It's a long. Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, but we'll get to all that on Monday. We'll give you the weekend to get
Right,
things
think
figured
about
out
it,
and,
get it in
and-
there.
and figure it out. We're gonna have all weekend to put together our decade lists, and it'll be Illini centric because obviously that's what this show is about. But also it'll be just sort of everything. It'll be fun time looking back and also looking forward. So make sure to tune into that show. And thanks for everybody that listens for sticking around on this weird format that we've been having to do shows on YouTube and it's good to see that people are still curious about what we have to say and some of the things that we do. So thank you for that, and thank you for today's show on behalf of myself, Jake, Alex, Brendyn. Thank you guys very much, and we'll see you next time.